our last episode, we talked about going broad. And I just wanted to reiterate that whatever I say or this kind of pseudo advice that I put out there, like I'm really just talking to a younger version of myself. So please do take what I say with a grain of salt. I don't want you to feel like you need to take each of these steps. It's really just my experience. So I just wanted to put that back out there again as we start this new season. But today I wanted to talk about a few things. One of them, just wanted to kind of give you an update on where my mind's been in the past month, because I feel like I've had kind of a perspective shift between December and as I'm recording this, it's kind of in the middle of February. So the first thing that I'll talk about is sufficiency. This is from a book that I'm reading. It's called The Personal MBA, Master the Art of Business by Josh Kaufman. And the concept goes like this. This is straight from the book. Sufficiency is the point where a business is bringing in enough profit that the people running the business find it worthwhile to keep going for the foreseeable future. And then I kind of like this excerpt from Josh as well on how he categorizes business. And it's business is more of a creative endeavor, a way to explore what's possible, help others, and support yourself at the same time. So during hard months, typically during the winter months, and as things start to wind down around the holiday season, is the hardest so far for me as like a freelancer. And things just slow down. People aren't really spending that money because they're spending money getting gifts, and Black Friday's going on. So you kind of have to not only strap yourself for cash, but understand and maybe have some contracts in place going into the new year. So when I heard this thing about sufficiency, this concept, it kind of made me question like what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and kind of like a soft reset on how I'm thinking about my own business and what I'm doing inside of my business. So there's this example from the book where it's a fisherman and this MBA Harvard executive on vacation. And so they meet each other. The fisherman is docking his boat. He has like 2 or 3 fish. And then the MBA guy is impressed and he's like, oh, wow. Do you do this for a living? He's like, yeah, this is how I make my living. And he's like, oh, okay. So how do you spend your days? Because I think I see some opportunity. And the fisherman is like, well, I sell this to a man here in the village. And then, this helps me sustain my lifestyle. Like I get to play with my kids. I get to spend time with my wife. And, in the evenings, I'll go out to dinner with my kids. And then in the late evening, my wife and I can hang out. It's pretty nice. Like, I'm kind of on a busy schedule, so what's going on? What do you need? And a little bit of the context of the MBA exec is that this is his first vacation in like 15 years. So he takes this like opportunity to talk to this fisherman on what he could do. Oh man, okay, so you actually should be spending more time catching more fish, because if you do it for this amount of time, and if you're that efficient at what you do, you don't have to sell your fish to the fisherman. You could eventually sell straight to consumer. And then, that would enable you to buy more equipment and maybe a bigger boat. But of course, if you do that, you probably have to move into the city. So, you would have to scrap the village. But at some point, you could then pitch this to a big company and they would buy you out and you sell all of your stock and you'd make millions. And then the fisherman's like, oh, okay. So how long would that take? Oh, 15, 25 years tops. Well, say that it goes well and I get my millions. What do I do then? And then the executive is like, well, I guess you would spend time with your kids and go to dinner with them in the evenings and hang out with your wife, drink some wine. I think the executive got the point. At the end of his vacation, the executive went home and retired. Because this idea of sufficiency is that you can run the business however way you want because it's you. It's your creation. If you want to go make all that money and do those things, you can. But I think for young business owners like myself, like I'm 27 now, I feel like we put a lot of pressure on making a certain amount of money, whether it's each month or each week or just each year. Oh, I need to get myself to 100K. And then a lot of the influencers that we watch either hit 100K or they're way past that. And they say like the first 100K like is a game changer. It changes everything. So we have like all of this pressure just to make that. And I feel like we kind of lose sight to a lot of things. And it made me think about how we hyper focus on ourselves, or at least I do. I'm not trying to be presumptuous with any of the content that I put out there, but it made me think on how I view my business and what I'm trying to do. So I'm not trying to get too deep here, but this is my honest thought process. And I think I identified something that I'm trying to take out of my content, which is this notion of survival. I've actively told people in our community sessions, or even just my wife, like all the time, like, oh, I know how to survive in this industry. I don't necessarily know how to thrive. So I'm trying to take survive out of my vocabulary, because I think the observation that I've made about how I'm thinking about my business and my mentality overall is that if my threshold is surviving and I can't even imagine past that threshold of surviving, like it's just this number, if I can't imagine myself winning in my head, how am I going to win in reality? So if that's the threshold, if survival is a threshold, it's going to be very hard for me to go past that if that's just what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to survive. You get what I'm saying? So that's something that I observed about myself and what I'm putting out there. So I'm trying to have more of a positive spin, because I've had some experiences that weren't so great. And I'm like trying my hardest to like protect other creators or editors that are coming into this industry, because I don't want that for them. Like, I've been screwed over hard multiple times, and it's changed my mentality. It's changed the way I've seen the industry. And I kind of have this idea that the industry is against people. It is this machine that is out to get me, and I need to fight back, and I'm just trying to survive. So I'm trying to get rid of that and make it into something that is not only more positive, but that's more reflective in what I want to do. And I don't want to just survive. Like, I want to live in this business. I want to live in this industry like I enjoy it, because I do. So I'm trying to rid this survival mentality, word, tactic, whatever you want to call it. So I just wanted to give you an update on that. And I think, getting just a little bit deeper is, I think it comes down to self-love. And it's not like I'm going to look in the mirror and be like, I love you, Kyle. It's more of appreciating everything that I'm doing. And I don't think I've actively done that, which is, it doesn't defeat the purpose. It's just an observation that I'm making about myself. Like, I'm not trying to be too hard on myself, but it's like, I haven't really thought about or have been grateful that I've been in this business, or just the choices that I've made. So like, when I talked about earlier, like hyper focusing on something, like you can focus so much to where you're blinded by all of the good things. So like, if you focus on something that is so negative, whether it's, say that I have acne, or if I have, something that I perceive as wrong with me, that's in business or anything in life, like I can hyper fixate on something and get negative and feel bad and, feel these things. Like, I think being more in tuned is a great thing. And the way that I describe that is like psyching yourself out. Like you're developing these beliefs or feelings that may not be true. And I think positivity is way more productive in operating in your business day to day. And that's something that I'm trying to do, is really appreciate what I've been doing for that. The fact that I get to do it for this long. Like, most businesses die out in 2 to 5 years. Like, I'm still in that bracket, but the fact that I've gotten past year 1 and 2 is a really cool accomplishment. And like, understanding how far I've come, like it used to take me a week, an entire week, to edit a podcast. And now I can knock out 2 or 3 in a day, just because I've gotten so much better. And I'm not taking into account like those accomplishments or those things that I've been able to learn over the years. And here's kind of the last thing that I wanted to share, as far as like a perspective shift, and my amazing fiance kind of helped me get there. And it was kind of a weird low point. In our particular niche, like, we have competitors, but in the creative game, I think it's more of like a collaborative thing. We're all kind of in our own lane, which is what I love about it. But there was this creator that seemingly just came onto the scene, but he has a bunch of credentials, and he's, diving into the personal brand, similar to like what we're doing. And he sold a course, and I just felt really envious, and frankly, like, it pissed me off, because he essentially made and matched what we made an entire year within 1 day. And that like just made me feel bad. And I was just, in this self-pity of like, what the heck? Like, how much more do we have to do? Like, why is this? And I feel like in that moment I felt lost. Like, I'm so fixated on this end result and that I did this thing. And I've already told myself that I'm going to keep working on it, but I don't think it was true in that moment. Like, it bothered me a lot, and I put so much stock and value in something that I was creating, and it wasn't healthy. And the comparison is a thief of joy, and that was just like a really keen moment that I needed to be consoled by my fiance, because she's like, okay, like, you're comparing yourself way too much, and you need to give credit for the work that we've done, because we've been doing great things. And like, we get messages all the time from people saying like how much our stuff has helped them. So, I was hyper fixated on this thing that in the grand scheme, it doesn't matter. It was just something that I was envious and jealous about. And I think it just came from a place of not appreciating what I do. So if you get anything from this, it's start to find ways to appreciate yourself. I'm not going to put any like tactics or way that you can do that. You find whatever works for you. And that's what I'm actively trying to do now, is not only spread positive lights on the own works that I make, or, build myself up into this great person. It's none of that. It's being secure and having faith and trust in myself, of self-improving and getting better every single day. Like, that's what the faith is that you have trust that you're going to get better every single day. And that's it. Like, it doesn't need to go further than that, because not only is that enough to do, but it should be enough for you. It should be. I don't know. This is something that I'm having to like work on actively, because I've been really hard on myself, and I've always questioned if I'm doing enough, or if I'm pricing high enough, or if I'm doing this, or if I'm doing that. Like, as long as it speaks to me and I'm happy with it at the end of the day, like, I should recognize it. I virtually spend no time recognizing it, and I'm really trying to change that. So if you find yourself stuck or kind of in a weird rut, I think it's important to separate your actions from your feelings. What I mean by that is, like, I think it's a very good thing to be in touch with how you feel within your interactions with other people and with yourself. Because I think if you're able to have kind conversations with yourself and understand like where you're coming from and how you operate, you have a better chance to make a connection with someone else, because you're fully secure and have faith and trust in yourself that you're going to do the right thing. I know that a lot of us put a pressure on ourselves, and that is something that I'm actively trying to figure out for myself and articulate it to y'all. Like, that's what I'm going to be focusing on. So all that to say is, like, have some gratitude and appreciation for what you do. Small or large, like, it doesn't matter. Just give yourself a pat on the back and understand that you're learning and you're growing. And the only way that you're going to do that is if you actually appreciate the growth that you're going through. But I'll go ahead and leave it there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope this is helpful for y'all in some way, because it is for me. I really appreciate doing videos like this, and the fact that even 1 or 2 people watch this. So thank you once again. Let me know if you need anything. Happy to help in any way that I can. I'll see you in the next one.